Hi and welcome. I'm Andy Miocha and you are watching Headlines. The U.S. Agency for International Development, that accounted for 42% of all humanitarian aid tracked by the UN in 2024, is frozen and its future remains unclear. The Donald Trump administration is reportedly merging USAID with the State Department, with the White House announcing that all direct hires will be placed on leave, with staff overseas being recalled. Trump's top diplomat, Marco Rubio, was appointed as acting administrator of USAID. Following U.S. President's freeze of foreign aid funding, Elon Musk, the billionaire appointed by Trump to slash the federal government, said the agency was being shut down completely. On what does the USAID shakeup bring for the places worldwide dependent on humanitarian aid? What could its closure mean for U.S.'s soft power and interests? And who could fill the gap? We're talking with Nargiz Mamedova, international relations expert at STEM Center in Baku, Nurbolat Nishimbayev, international relations expert coming to us from Almaty, and Zurab Garakanidze, economics expert joining us from Tbilisi. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Well, before we delve into the specifics, Nargiz, what would USAID's effective shutdown mean for the reach of U.S. foreign policy and furthering of its interests globally?
Thank you very much for your question. Yes, it's completely true that USAID now has no future, and it, first of all, a huge signal not only for USA but for the whole international relations and for the international community. If you look into the structure of international relations now, it's completely changed due to the administration of Trump also. First of all, let's start with that, the US administration turned upside down everything, the international acting process also. Now the trust to the aid organizations will be getting lower. It's not only about the USAID, it's also about the other organizations that provide aid to other countries. Now a huge question raises, what about the transparency in other organizations if there is a huge non-transparency, manipulation, and abuse of power in USAID? And as we understand, USAID provided many billions of dollars to other countries, the most vulnerable countries in the world, as well as Afghanistan, Iraq, or Bolivia, or Colombia. And for example, let's take Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, from 2003 and 2013, there was more than $1 billion of investment of help aid to communities for confidence building measures. But unfortunately, there was no results at all in these countries. I mean, especially in Afghanistan. Or there was a huge influence of USAID in South America, in Colombia, or in, let's take Brazil, to help or to grassroots organizations, or for example, safeguarding the borders. It's a very essential topic that related to the security concerns of each country. And for now, as we know how the reputation of USAID, I think that no one, country, no state, if they won't collaborate with USA, they will think twice. And of also the trust, the public trust to the worldwide organizations, to the worldwide institutions that provide help and aim to vulnerable countries, it's a huge question. And I want to add that also Trump maybe will suggest a new alternative to USAID, but will it be effective and transparent that will bring back the global aid power or soft power of United States of America? It's also a huge question.
Well, the now former USAID administrator Samantha Power said the agency's closure as we know it is a gift to China. Nurbolat, do you see Beijing possibly filling the funding gaps that would be left behind? maybe by broadening its Belt and Road Initiative?
Definitely. The recent case regarding the USAID agency in Central Asia definitely opening a new debate across our region, including Kazakhstan. But I think surely it's highly likely that Beijing will seek to expand its footprint, particularly through initiatives like Belt and Road initiatives. Because China already has positioned itself as a key development partner in many regions where USAID has been active, including Central Asia, Africa, South Asia. So therefore, I think not only to China, but as well as to Russia, as well as to European Union, it would be the chance to close the gap, to influence the socio-economic, cultural, and ideological influence. But I think the most important aspect is here for Central Asian states for itself to reconsider to what extent funding of those international agencies are allocating well with the interest of the national interest of the local states. I think that will lead to the new question and the new form of regulation interactions with the international humanitarian agencies in the case of USAID and further on.
According to the UN, USAID funded around 42% of the global humanitarian efforts last year. Zurab, there are a lot of sums and percentages being quoted in media and research. How profound do you believe would USAID's possible shutdown be for global hotspots that are in need for aid? And are there different actors ready to jump in?
Thanks for having me. Thanks. And I'd like to underline the possible impact of withdrawal of Caspian exploration of natural gas, because, you know, from the January of this year, the Russian gas don't come imported in Europe anymore. And that's why this gap will be filled by the Caspian gas, natural gas from Azerbaijan through Georgia and Turkey. And that's why the USAID have the good impact of the technical assistance of the projects of Southern Gas Corridor, which is provided by the Western companies, also American companies as well, because in Kazakhstan they start very huge projects of Kashagan, and second stage of Kasagan is provided by the American energy companies, ExxonMobil, Chevron, Halliburton, and so on. And also on the Caspian Sea, the Azerbaijan sector needs the technical support of USAID for exploration of new deposits of Caspian natural gas in Azerbaijan sector of Caspia. These are Babek, Umid, Shah Deniz 3, and also other projects which are in the process of exploration in the Azerbaijan and will come in the work from 2027-28. And it will be fill gap of closure of Russian gas to the gas export to the Europe. You know, the so-called last gas pipeline, Brotherhood, was closed in from the 1st of January 2025. And that's why I think the USAID will be help Azerbaijan and Georgia to intensify the exploration and the transportation of Caspian gas to the Western Europe, to the countries of European Union. That's why I think USAID should be returned to our region to continue his projects. And I'd like to mention the project of first project in energy in Georgia, for instance. It was creation of regulatory framework, the creation of Commission of Energy and Water Supply in Georgia, and association of these commissions in Georgia, and also energy projects of USAID, which was created in 2017-2020 in Georgia, and first time in Georgian history was created the alternative energy projects, the windy farms in central part of Georgia in Gori region.
Well, USAID's operations in some countries have been halted, and not because of the freezes. Azerbaijan's foreign ministry confirmed that Baku notified the US that USAID will not be able to operate in the country anymore. Nargiz, what do you make of the decision not to extend the framework under which USAID acted in the country?
Well, I think that the foreign policy of Azerbaijan is very pragmatic. And that's why the signals that even the president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, kind of sent to the world last year is a great example how USAID activity is controversial, not only in Azerbaijan, but in the region of South Caucasus itself. If we take Georgia, for example, the officials from Georgia emphasized yesterday and the day before that the USAID was manipulating by the NGOs that they provided aid to destabilize the situation in the country before the elections. So it's not aid anymore, it's manipulation, it's abuse of power. And I think due to these concerns and due to these statements, we should talk about the international law. We should talk how USAID broke the base of international law about the sovereignty, integrity, and about the stability in the country, in the stability of South Caucasus, in a very wide perspective. And I think that the signals that were sent by the government of Azerbaijan is very insightful and very productive. And I think that it also urges the other countries to be very careful to such kind of organizations that try to help, but it's not help anymore. Under the political curtain of aid, the USAID did a very destructive things. And I think that it was a huge lesson, not only to the countries in the South Caucasus, but also to the whole world, that countries need to take priority their national interests and their national dignity, sovereignty, and territorial integrity also. I think like that.
Nurbolat, what's the situation regarding the U.S. foreign aid in Kazakhstan and, if you will, in Central Asia? We've heard Kazakhstani MPs calling for an investigation of the funding.
Of course, on Wednesday this week, member of parliaments, they requested from the Ministry of Justice as well as from the Ministry of National Economy to organize an investigation how the USAID's funds allocated and whether it aligns with the Kazakhstan national interest. I think this step reflects us broader regional concern about how foreign influence affects in domestic affairs. While USAID has historically supported democratic governance, economic development, and the social programs, there is open questions about its transparency and the political objectives, how it impacts the local system. I think the Kazakhstani case will reflect us how it should be regulated, such a kind of international, the role of international humanitarian agencies and its impact to the local government, because it must be discussed. I think it may be regulated on the case of modern systems.
Well, each of these countries has its own reasons. However, many of the projects funded or managed on the ground by USAID, including distributing medicine and vaccines, dealing with mine clearance, providing food, and so on, are also in jeopardy. Zurab, do you see a reformed kind of agency taking over those essential humanitarian efforts?
Yes, I think, first of all, I'd like to underline that the USAID's activity is not closed. but it is stopped for 3 months, according to order of President Trump. Let's see what will be, what should be done after the investigation. I don't think that the many things will be under the way of criminal law, I think. And I think the good projects will be continued from the USAID. For instance, there is a project of security of energy supply and cyber security in energy of Georgia. It's a very important project because it's, again, this project works for the promotion of the Caspian Sea energy resources, hydrocarbons, transportation to the West, also from the Kazakhstan and also from the Azerbaijan. And that's why I think let's wait the investigation and we will see after that.
Nargiz, what do you see coming after this? Do you believe the U.S. will continue funding essential aid worldwide if USAID gets shut down?
Well, I think it's very controversial. First of all, let's think from the perspective of Trump administration. As we know, Trump is not, for example, they're not gonna be a part of Paris Agreement, or they don't want to be a part of World Health Organization. Why? Because for this they paid a lot of money, and Trump thinks not as a diplomat. Trump thinks as a businessman. So he thinks that if I can't get enough money from the projects that I have, it's not profitable for me. It's not effective. So that's why I need, the America needs to think about new projects that will, first of all, give profit to America, economic profit, first of all. Of course, soft power is very important. Soft power is maybe the giving nowadays the shape of geopolitical processes in the world. But I think that Trump, first of all, will prioritize the economic ambitions of United States of America. And in future, first of all, even there will be some alternative of USAID or any aid projects, it will serve to the interest of USA. It's obvious. And secondly, I don't think that the Trump's administration will share this kind of, huge billions of dollars, millions of dollars with other countries as an aid. I think is the red line for Trump's administration now, and it's under a huge discussion.
Nurbolat, do you believe the U.S. will continue to fund critical humanitarian efforts around the world, even with the USAID situation?
I think that is pretty serious question. Also, no one knows exact answer. But for now, what we have now is, at least for the upcoming 90 days, the financing has been frozen. But the future is more or less clear from the Kazakhstani perspective. I can say, for the United States, the USAID agency, it had been the instrument of foreign policy since 1961, since during the Cold War era. Therefore, for the United States, totally closing such a kind of initiation, it will be waste of time, waste of money, waste of resources. Therefore, my prediction is Trump administration probably will restructuralize USAID, probably redirect financing through alternative channels, such as the State Department or private foundations or multilateral organizations. But in general, USAID has long served as a primary vehicle for delivering humanitarian assistance across the globe. But I think, in particular for Central Asia, it will create a vacuum to bring in other participants as well who has an interest in the region. But for now, I can say just this one. The impact of the USAID, the closure or restructuralizing of this organization will have a long-lasting impact for the whole our region.
And Zurab, I believe you wanted to add something. How do you see this reflecting on the South Caucasus?
Yes, sure. I'd like to continue the opinion of Nargis about the business history of President team. You know, many people in President team are from the business, even himself, President Trump and Musk and so on and so on. This is reflected on the U.S. economic policy. You know, President Trump's first term of presidency started from the policy of so-called cameralism. Cameralism was the old 19th century economic policy, representatives of which was David Hamilton from the USA and German economist Friedrich List. And they proclaimed the policy of mercantilism, so-called creation of high import duties and defense of internal businessmen from the competition of outside. And first 2 years shows in first term of Trump's presidency at the time, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, that it was wrong policy. It was not successful policy because many American goods, many American services lowered in the quality because without competition, you know, internal market will references of quality. And it was really in 2 years after the first term of presidency of Trump was held. That's why I think this international economic policy will be continue on the same way. He pronounced about the 2 times rise of import duties and about the ban of export international investment in the U.S. economy. I think it will be show the wrong steps of this policy very, very soon. That's why I think the international support, international NGO support is very important, and I would say USAID will come again to the international affairs of without State Department, I think.
Well, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your insights and opinions.